Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Steven Universe. Today I'm going to be watching the extra long episode, I guess sort of a two-parter, kind of, sort of, in a similar way that Bismuth was, Gem Harvest. And it could go really any possible way. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get some lore here on the gems, sort of talking about, like, you know, the home world, harvesting the earth, or something like that. I have no freaking clue. So, what other way shall we begin but by getting right into it? In 3, 2, 1. Did Peridot and Lapis start learn how to grow?
Hi, Steven.
Whoa!
I'm on a tractor. Did I spray you by accident? So glad you could make it.
She looks so happy.
How do you like our little experiment? It's amazing. I made you in my image. You will do as I say. Wait, you don't think the corn was... You can assist in harvesting the rest of your kind.
It's a pumpkin dog?
Yeah. Then we make
Uh-oh.
2 eyes.
Uh-oh.
A hobo is a man's job.
Who's the human and what's he yelling about?
I
The real
don't
question is,
know.
where are my attack drones?
Wait, I want you hippies out of my lawn.
Is he related to Steven?
I told you YouTube could use a hot dog. I guess that works.
They just really needed a place. They're alien refugees from space and they're illegal aliens.
Oh God.
You couldn't even marry an American? That matter.
Eels are much cooler. Okay, give me the next row.
All right.
I'm gonna call this the harvest music.
Whoa. And it's,
For a vegetable garden, I'd say we're pretty fruitful.
vegetables. That was the heart of the legendary wings of the daring tomatoes.
Oh my
I
God.
could fly on this plane.
No one was even using that jump.
Exactly.
Now it's actually good for something.
Okay, I give up. It's too much. All right, where am I sitting?
Wow.
We get right to it, huh?
You and me for showing up. Because of you, everyone came out here to the barn, and now we're all in one place together for the first time in a while.
Yes.
And it's actually pretty great.
Yes, I'm full. You're a mile in the sky hanging off a bluff lady.
Andy, I want to be your family. Isn't that why you came back?
Ah, Steven, you better hold on.
Okay. I've gotten past the not being able to stand Andy part now.
Float, float.
You got some leftovers for me too, you little freak of nature there. That's gross.
The eerie music. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? The creepy, eerie music. It's been getting more and more intense as time has gone along. But what does it mean? I don't know. Okay, so Gem Harvest. Admittedly, it was a strange one to have as an extended episode, in my opinion. Simply because of the fact that it feels like up until now, any two-parters or extended episodes, such as Bismuth, really tied into like the core overall big picture story. And maybe this will. Maybe this will. For all I know, Andy may become a, maybe not a significant factor in the show, but a factor in the show that is important moving forward. I do admittedly find it strange, again, just to repeat myself again, that they used a 23-minute episode for that. That's just very strange to me, and I apologize. It's the cat hair is floating and Bella is apparently shedding. It's getting everywhere, and I'm allergic to cats, but I love them. Regardless, this episode was really, really interesting in a lot of ways. Again, my sort of strange feeling about it aside, we got introduced to, I guess, 2 new characters if you include Pumpkin, which I guess is just what they're going to call it, Pumpkin, the dog of Lapis and Peridot. Or really just, this entire episode was really fascinating. And not only for, you know, the obvious reasons, seeing Lapis and Peridot, how they were able to grow all these vegetables on a farm when, I never would have thought that they would conceive of doing that. But the way that Peridot put it makes complete sense. It's like, you know, she's so used to growing these gems on Homeworld, well, actually, did she grow them? I guess she was part of the growing process, regardless. But she learned how to grow human produce. Again, you know, aside from the fact that they thought they would come to life. That was really interesting. And then the simple way in which Steven unwittingly got Pumpkin to go to Peridot and Lapis instead of him was really interesting. Like, I never would have really thought about it, but then it's like, you know, when he started carving into that pumpkin and the way that Pumpkin reacted makes total sense, because it's seeing one of its own, in a sense, being carved up. And it's just insane to me. But of course, it's like that brings us to the biggest part of this episode, and that's Andy. And I really enjoyed seeing Andy's arc in this episode. And even I was able to experience sort of personal feelings and personal prejudices about characters, well, not characters, but just characters and people in general who are very stuck in their ways, very stuck in the way that things used to be, and like not able to move on from that. And when it comes to people in real life, I can tend to have a very short fuse with that kind of thing. I get annoyed very quickly when it comes to that sort of situation. But seeing this episode, and again, seeing the way that Andy sort of came around, it's like, you know, he was very abrasive a lot of the times, but over the course of the episode, he came to realize things and see things that he hadn't apparently just they hadn't come to mind for him before, because he had stayed hidden in his old ways, stayed hidden and isolated himself for so long. And that just really made me think about why that's like some people I know. I commented, you know, I know some people that remind me of Andy. And I mean, the truth is, I feel like a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, they sort of tend to go that way because they sort of isolate themselves from these different things, or just where they live or how they live is in isolation from different things, from different experiences. But when Andy started to experience that, while he definitely did not like it at all at first, he sort of came to come around on the whole subject, and he learned to be a bit more accepting of the situation, and he started to look inward. He started to look inward as to how maybe, certain elements of it might be on him. How, he has that plane. He could have gone to visit anyone that moved away. He's able to go anywhere in the world, but he never went to the places that the people he loves are. Until now, and now he knows that he has his nephew, Steven. He's reconnected with Greg, and he has this whole new, something he may never get used to, this new extended family that just, it opened up his mind. And I feel like that's something that's very important, not only for, people who may tend to get stuck in their ways, sort of live in the past and try to keep things as they were, but even myself, trying to see past the prejudices that I have with people who are like that. And I mean, it clashes with my personality, whether it's, a person in real life or a person on a cartoon. Is like, I could not stand Andy at first, like, at all. But the way that the episode evolved is like I started to see things not necessarily, about myself. Again, it's like, reflecting on those personal prejudices of mine, but also coming to realize that my irritation with them and Andy as a character was because in a lot of ways, I'm only able to see them in that one place. I'm only able to see them as these recluses, as these people who just live in the past, who don't want to embrace the world as it changes. But they are still humans, and humans are capable of change. And I just think that's a beautiful thing, and I have been rambling about this probably in a manner that doesn't really make that much sense as to the core plot of this episode. But this episode really did make me think a lot, and I love that. So yeah, again, while I thought it was strange that they dedicated that much time to this one episode, this episode affected me in a way that I didn't expect. Like, not in a deep emotional way like Mindful Education and some of the other episodes have, but just in a very thoughtful, philosophical way, I guess you might say. Yeah, I like that. Now, all of that aside, I do have some favorite tracks from this episode. The first of which is definitely the harvest song, as I call it, which is the music playing while the gems were gathering the harvest from, basically gathering all the food around the farm. And it was really cool, really energetic and beautiful. I loved that. And then the chase music. After Andy takes off in the plane and Steven and Lapis take chase, just like the very... It was somewhat intense, but just very... It was very thrilling, I guess is the right way to put it. The music in both of those tracks was really, really good, and just stood out completely to me. And there may have been some other tracks as well. If there are any other tracks from this episode that you liked in particular, please let me know what they are. Because, again, for me personally, those two stood out the most, but I may be overlooking another gem. I just noticed that. Anyway. But yeah, this episode was really solid, really enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to see if and when Andy reappears, and if he does reappear, in what context. Because I can see him being potentially, well, useful plot-wise, but depending on the situation and what might happen in the future, the fact that he has a plane that can go anywhere in the world could prove very useful, for lack of a better word, for Steven. And, I mean, this Aunt Deb, I wonder if we'll get to meet her and her partner. And since he referred to her as her partner, could Aunt Deb be in a, lesbian relationship? I don't know. And I don't know that really ties into the plot of it or not, but I'm interested to see if they explore that, because they're definitely exploring a lot with the background characters in this season, the townies, if you will. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more of Andy and just getting to know more about this extended family that Steven has that I just never really put much thought into before. But regardless, all of that said, please let me know your thoughts on this episode and also what I've had to say, as long and rambling as it was. I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to hear what you all have to say about this. Again, any tracks that might have stood out to you aside from the ones I pointed out, and if there are official names for those tracks, feel free to let me know. But coming up next, in the next episode of Discovering Steven Universe, we will have 3 gems and a baby. So I'm going to guess one of two things, or rather theorize one of two things. Either one, for some reason, Steven is going to revert back to a very young, childish age, like he did quite a while ago. I want to say that might have been season 2, maybe? Back when that happened? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. I'm gonna guess that's one possibility, or maybe we'll get a flashback episode to when Steven was just a baby. Like, literally just a baby. Like, right after Rose has given up her physical form. I'm really interested to find out what that, if one of those two theories might be the truth. And before I end this here, just to let you all know, if you're interested in seeing episodes like this, some of my Discovering Classic Doctor Who, as well as Doctor Who, when it starts back at the beginning of October, if you'd like to catch any of those episodes ahead of time, or at least, before they go public on YouTube, you can go over to the Patreon campaign. That's patreon.com/PapaKennMedia. The link is in the description down below, and it'll also be at the end of this video. I always point the wrong way. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to the episodes early. Anywhere from about a day to a week or more. Lately it's been about a day because I've been really busy with my full-time job and other stuff gets in the way. But regardless, until next time everyone, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode of Discovering Steven Universe.